Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine, and this week we're hearing about a movement of football-sized bluefin tuna running from, say, south of the Vineyard to south of Montauk. We're hearing about a serious increase in surf catches of striped bass north of Boston. We're hearing about the continuation of just the massacre of giant doormat fluke on Nantucket Shoals. And we're hearing about a good influx of large stripers from Essex on down to the mouth of the Connecticut River. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's Web Fishing Forecast.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
Well, before we begin, and in case you can't tell, I'm a little under the weather this week. I caught something. I don't think it's COVID. But the report's going to be a little shorter just so I don't sneeze on the lens. So let's get started in Massachusetts, just like always. As I alluded to in the intro, there's been a serious influx of stripers on the North Shore, especially for surf guys. Surf guys fishing at night from, say, Nahant on up to Plum Island or so. A lot of nice fish caught. A lot of 20-pound class fish, a lot of teen class fish, and a few bigger ones. Seems like the hot plugs this week have been like mag darters, super strike darters, hydro minnows, that type of a thing. And of course, guys throwing live eels are getting nice fish as well. In the daytime, it's mostly been an early morning thing. I'm sure that comes as no surprise to anybody. Things like big pencil poppers, the dock, and big metal lips like the one thrown here by James Jukes are getting it done up in that area. Heading down the coast from there, Boston's still got some nice fish. I don't have a lot of details this week from Boston, but there's some good fish in the islands out there. Same story as last week for North River. Solid fish. I didn't hear about anything real big, but you got a good shot at getting a slot fish in that area. There's some big fish in Cape Cod Bay, but it's a real hunt and peck adventure type of a thing out there. These fish are on sea herring schools, and you got to find those schools of bait or you're not going to find the fish. But some really nice fish are being caught. You know, fish up into the high 40-pound class, probably even bigger. Top water plugs are getting it done. Also trolled rapalas and things like that. Deep diving plugs that you can fish fast, that you can troll fast. They're getting some nice fish. Similar deal up around Race Point also, but fish are a little smaller. I didn't hear about anything bigger than like 30 pounds, maybe 28 pounds in that area this week. But those fish are being caught on like live mackerel and live bunker, or pogies, or whatever you want to call them, depending on where you're from. And that's been translating into the beach there as well, but most of the fish on the beach are on the smaller side with some bluefish mixed in, and that's been mostly nighttime on the beach. Again, same swimmers, redfins, hydro minnows, SP minnows, things like that. The outer beach for the surf guys, slow, sporadic, smaller fish. If you're a surf guy on the Cape right now, I would fish the bay side, and I would fish an estuary mouth. That seems to be where most of the action has been. A lot of slot fish in that area, and a few fish up to 20 pounds, and then good numbers also of fish under slot. So just a lot of action, good mix of sizes, and that seems to be the hot zone on the Cape right now because the canal has gone pretty much quiet. Except for the hardcores that are fishing through the night jigging or drifting eels or things like that. They're pulling, a couple decent fish a week. And then there's those sporadic shots of bigger fish at the west end, but it's not every day. I was there this week. I just happened to be going through and stopped there with my daughter at the Maritime Academy. We watched the tide for a little while, right at the right time, and didn't even take the rod out of the truck. So that lets you know how good it was there. But it has been happening on and off. So if you're the vigilant type and you got lots of time on your hands, might not be a bad idea to give that a shot. Buzzards Bay bass, much slower. I don't know if they all went through or what happened, but not a lot of bass reports from Buzzards Bay. One place that has seen some fish is Woods Hole. There's some fish going through Woods Hole right now, fish up to 30 pounds. Live bunker seems to be the way to get them. For flukers, like I said in the intro again, if you're going out, anyone who's going out, we should say, seems to be heading to Nantucket Shoals. A lot of big fish there. I pulled some pics off of the Helen H social media channel here, and you can see, everything. There's just so many fish north of 10 pounds out there, and some 12, 13, 14, 15-pound fish being caught. There are fluke to be caught in Nantucket Sound and Vineyard Sound and Buzzards Bay, but not many guys are fishing for them. So if you've got some good numbers out there, you got a good chance of getting some nice fish because no one's fishing for them. And then the same thing for sea bass. I think so many guys are like laser focused on getting that big fluke picture that they stop fishing for sea bass. So some of those holes out by the Elizabeth Islands have got some really nice fish, like this one from Black Rose Charters. And they're not seeing a lot of pressure. So you got a good shot at getting a nice, good-sized sea bass, and you never know, you might pull a giant fluke out of one of those holes as well. That's pretty much the story of Massachusetts this week. Over in Rhode Island, the bass bite is starting to modulate or stretch out. There's still fish up in Narragansett Bay, but the average size is going down. Not hearing about nearly as many 30-pounders. I don't think I heard of a single 40-pounder from up there. A lot of 20s, a lot of teens. Still a lot of bunker up there. But the bigger fish seem to be headed out. So I talked to Rob from Newport Sport Fishing Charters, and he said he did fish a day in the bay this week, and he did get one, his client got one nice fish. But he's been fishing more out front and doing pretty good out there. I heard from some other guys that it seems like the fish are heading out through the East Passage now, because these last couple of days in right off of Newport, Brenton Reef area, Kettle Bottom Rock area, there were some big fish for the guys that had the stomach to anchor up out there in the big swell and throw live bunker or throw the dock around. Wide mix of sizes, anything from like 25 inches to 44 pounds was the biggest I heard of. But the action was really good. It seemed like a lot of those fish just made the decision at the same time to get out of there. Also, at the same time, so we're seeing fish moving out of the bay. At the same time, we're having fish moving north onto the ledges out off of Block Island. We've got some really nice fish landed out there again this week. And there's also fish coming in from the east, hitting the Watch Hill Reefs at the same time, and then some big fish coming from the breachways as well. So we're kind of in the middle of Rhode Island, like it's just the epicenter right now. Everything seems to be converging. This later migration just seems to be converging on Rhode Island right now. So a lot of nice fish to be caught. I even heard of some really nice surf fish taken from the breachways. Some of them pushing over 40 pounds. Most of them on drifted eels, but you definitely could pull one on a bottle darter or something like that. And then surf guys fishing like Newport and Narragansett. I heard of fish up to 25 pounds using various methods there as well. Fluke fishing has been definitely getting better in Rhode Island. Seeing more bigger fish, still lots of shorts, and now we're starting to deal with more and more dogfish. So you're having to contend with them, especially around the windmills. It seems to be dogfish heaven out there. A little bit slower bite as far as keepers go, but far fewer dogfish, at least at last check, east grounds. If you head over on that side, you're going to be catching more fluke, but you're also going to be catching more shorts. And then, as I talked about in the intro, there's a lot of tuna coming in. And at first I was hearing about it at Coxes, and now it's kind of spread out to the Kawa all the way over to south of Montauk. I can't really tell if this is a method to kind of smear where they really are. Are they really in that whole zone? Probably not. But I think it's more. I think more than think. I know it's safe to say that there's a lot of football bluefin out there right now, and a lot of guys are getting them on the troll. So it does seem like they're searching for them. But I have heard of fish caught on metal and plugs. So next good weather day we get, if you've got tuna fever, might not be a bad idea to head out there and start looking around. The other thing too, I can't remember if I mentioned it last week, but there have been bonito caught in the fish traps of Rhode Island. So they're around. I don't know how to even guess what their numbers are. I don't even know if they're targetable, but they're here. And we did hear about one bonito caught off the south side of the vineyard last week. So yeah, it's starting. If you're the inshore tuna type, your engine should be idling and at the ready. And Now I'm going to throw it over to Mike from Watch Hill Outfitters. He's going to kind of wrap up what's been happening in the western end of Rhode Island.
Hey guys, it's Mike Wade with Watch Hill Outfitters checking in with you for the week. Just wanted to let you know what's going on. We've been hearing about some very large bass all up and down the reef. Actually, Tommy, we call him Tommy Tsunami, has been doing really well with the GT eel. Really effective bait. We typically run it on a 1/2 ounce or a 1/4 ounce jig head. He was actually out there last night. He was trying to figure out if he had a 50-pounder or a 40-pounder. Some big swell coming in. He couldn't actually get a good read on the scale. Definitely something you should be fishing for. We've also been hearing about quite a bit of fluke going on. And actually, Andrew's in here. He's been doing some great fluke fishing all season long.
What's up, Mike? We have been doing really well on fluke. We've been going to block as many days as we can. Starting to find them in deeper water, around 75 feet. Everything's starting to warm up out there. So unfortunately, we've seen a few dogfish, but still getting a couple big fish and plenty of keepers every time we go out. We had one really good day inshore. Right off the pink house, we had fish to 22 inches, and they were all spitting up really big, like foot-long local squid. So it's starting to heat up inshore, and that's exciting as well.
That's great info, man. Really.
No problem.
Nice fishing. Thanks again. Tight lines. Hope you have a great day on the water.
Thanks, Mike. You guys are putting together great reports. Really, really appreciate that. Makes my job a lot easier, especially on a week when I got the sniffles. But that's pretty much the story of Rhode Island this week. And over in Connecticut, the striper bite still seems to be heavily centered around the Connecticut River. I've been hearing about a lot of nice fish from Essex down to the mouth of the river. A lot of bunker in there, and then outside the river too, mile or two in either direction, any rock pile, rocky shoreline, reef, whatever, they seem to have bass on them, and there seems to be some pretty nice fish. I've heard of lots of fish in the 20 to 30 pound range and a few over 40. The funny thing is, almost all these fish are being caught in the daytime. I don't find it that odd as a surf fisherman who's had to deal with bunker bites in the past. And, when there's a lot of bunker around for me, for whatever reason, it's very difficult to get them to hit at night. So that's been the story. A lot of guys getting fish live lining bunker, throwing splash walks or the dock, or in real low light, slow swimming a pikey or something like that. All these things are catching fish. Guys are getting them up big soft plastics too, like 9 to 12 inch sluggos. Big 10-inch finesse fish, things like that. They're all getting eaten, and the bite seems to be really good right at first light. So if you're thinking about going, make sure you get up early. The fluke bite in Connecticut kind of stays same as it's been. There's fish, just a lot of short fish. The guys that I know that do a lot of fluke fishing in the Sound have been kind of pulling their hair out, running around from all these different reefs, Goshen and Sarah's and Sand Wave and the what's that place called? Long Sand Shoal and all these other places. They're just trying to find a pile of big fish, and they're just not doing it. So you're going to be weeding through lots of shorts, which is the name of the game in modern day fluking. You're going to catch a lot of shorts pretty much no matter where you go. But it's been tough to find bigger fish, and most of the guys are giving up and heading to Block Island, and they're finding some better fish there. And then sea bass, still very good. 6 Mile to Old Lyme, all those little reefs and ledges and wrecks and all that stuff in that area all have fish on them. They got a lot of porgies on them with them. And Connecticut is kind of always this way. There's plenty of keepers, but there's not a lot of real big ones. A big Connecticut fish is 4.5 pounds in my experience. You don't hear about too many 5s, but they do happen. But all that body of fish seems to now be kind of spreading east a little bit. So you are seeing some fish at Bloody Grounds, and you are seeing some fish off Nantucket and places like that. So just look for that to continue to spread out and get a little bit better, throughout more of the Sound as time goes on. I forgot to mention, striper-wise, that the race and the gut have fish, but it still seem to be on the smaller side. And but my experience, again, mostly from writing the reports, not so much from fishing the area. The bigger fish seem to show up in July, especially around the race. So don't get your hopes up yet. In the next couple weeks, either on this moon this week, which is pretty much today or tomorrow, or the new moon in the beginning of July, I expect to see more fish moving into that area, and let's hope I'm right. And now I'm going to throw it over to Max from Fisherman's World. He's going to give us a rundown, as always, of the Western Sound.
We are peak and striped bass fishing right now in our local waters, and it seems like to our west we're having another big wave of fish coming. Places like 32A, Captain's Island, and trolling from the weather buoy down there, I've seen fish over 50 inches taken. In our local waters, they're really starting to set up on our local reefs like 11B, 28C, and the backside of the islands. We've seen fish now over 40 pounds taken shallow on the chunk. Guys fishing the deep water around the bunker schools are reporting starting to slow down a little on bass, but the bluefish are plentiful, and it's always fun to bring the kids out and troll wire or throw topwater spooks or even diving plugs. Our sea bass bite is definitely picking up in our deeper water wrecks, so if you want to try to get your limit, I would definitely get on a wreck out in 50 foot or more on the backside of Cockini and outside Middle Passage, and also the Celtic wreck. This week, the fluke fishing has really picked up. We've seen them to 9 pounds now, and guys are reporting a better bite out in the deeper water, and it should just get deeper as the summer progresses. But outside 26 and about 50 to 60 foot's good. 20 is seeing Bud's Reef, so if you pound them hard, you'll definitely find your limit. Porgies are really flooded in. You can find them on any local rock pile, and high-low rigs with clams, squid, you name it, and always clam chunk will help fill your bag limit. Thanks and good luck to everybody.
And that's pretty much what I have for you this week in Connecticut. Anyone looking for a good time, running out of one of these eastern Connecticut ports, you can make a run out and catch yourself some tuna, south of Montauk, heading out south of Block 2. Seems to be a good number of fish around. It's just a matter of finding them, but they are out there. And if you're not a subscriber, like I say every week, head over to the website and give us a try, man. We've got a lot to offer, cover a huge amount of water, and we got reports that cover all that. We've got articles that cover every species you can think of in between, and we're putting out new content all the time, so come over and check us out. If you're a kayak guy, look up the Coastal Kayak Clash. It's a phenomenal tournament. It runs most of the season. You can enter anytime. It's a multi-species, it's almost like a Grand Slam format type of a tournament, and the prizes are phenomenal. You should definitely check it out. If you're a boat fisherman, you should check out the Dream Boat Contest. Both of these are for subscribers only, by the way. But we're giving away a Steigercraft boat and dozens and dozens of other prizes. It's a phenomenal event. A lot of guys love to fish it, and I really think you should check it out. So give us a look, and before you leave here, just click like, click subscribe, and hit that little bell thing down there so you get a notification when we post a new video. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious English choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.